What's going on, guys? So today's video is probably going to be one of the most important videos to consider whenever you have an RV and you're wondering what things could be causing damage to it when you may not even know that it's happening. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so today is an absolutely insanely humid day. I mean, we have like 85 to 90% humidity out here. You can see water dripping off of everything in the morning because you have all the condensation that's formed and it's running down off of the roof, off of the front cap, shoot, even off of the pin box up here. And you can see water just dripping everywhere. And it's happening to both RVs. You can see water up here as well. Both the AC units have been off for the last day so I can make this video, just so you can see how much natural water forms from condensation and drips down and runs off of RVs. So many folks keep their RVs either in storage facilities, next to their home, or in an area where it's not in a climate-controlled, protected environment with air conditioning, right? Climate control. And when you do that, you have all sorts of potential issues that you have to keep an eye out for. If you don't, you will find out that your RV will start suffering from problems you didn't even know would happen. So the main thing to keep in mind is that condensation is going to form just about anywhere where there's high humidity, where there's a mixture of hot and cool air, where the ideal conditions are perfect for water droplets to form, especially when the dew point is perfect and you have water buildup. Now, everyone automatically assumes that that water buildup is always going to be on the exterior of their RV. I think a lot of folks who've been RVing full time and they spend a lot of time in their RV throughout the seasons realize pretty quickly that condensation can form on the inside of your RV just as quickly as it can form on the outside of your RV. And sometimes what ends up happening is that condensation that's created on the inside actually dries out before you get to your RV to see the damage that it's doing. What do I mean by that? So let's say that I don't frequently come out and check on the Surveyor or the Brookstone. And I don't go inside, I don't look around for damage, I don't look around for any type of moisture, condensation buildup, anything like that. That doesn't mean that it's not occurring, and by the time I go to the RV in the middle of the day when it's hot outside, that it's dried up. And the problem that happens here is a lot of water can form and start running down the inside of your wall, start collecting on the floor, start collecting inside of slides. Where's water going to run? That's just a logical, common sense question. Water's going to be pulled down by gravity and it's going to settle at the lowest point. It's going to settle somewhere where it can't move anymore, whether there's an obstruction, whether there's something blocking it, or simply whether because it's gone to the lowest point. And sometimes that lowest point is the subfloor. It's the floor underneath your slides. It's the areas underneath your windows. It's areas all around the edge of your RV that it collects and it starts creating moisture problems. It starts rotting the wood out. It starts creating mold, mildew, bacteria. It starts doing all sorts of really, really bad things. And naturally, most people are just going to assume that the RV is built horribly, and that's the reason why there's rot forming. That's the reason why things are falling apart, when in fact, it's the climate it's being used in. It's the fact that excessive moisture is being built up inside of the RV because you're not going into it frequently enough to make sure it's cleaned out. You're not doing anything to dehumidify it. You don't have Damprid. You don't have things inside of your RV to control that moisture as it forms. If you don't, your RV will die. You know, there's a saying that people associate with children when you raise them. If you don't parent your child, somebody else will. Well, if you don't take care of your RV, nature will, and it's not going to do it the way you want it to. It's going to create problems. It's going to cause things to rust and fail. It's going to create issues that you never expected because you are treating something like this like your car. The difference between an RV and why this is so important, and you can't compare this to a car when it comes to that type of wear and tear, is because you probably get in your car every single day, multiple times a day. You run your air conditioning unit, you drive it down the road, you look for things that are wrong. If you saw some type of major condensation issue forming inside of your vehicle, you would likely try to address it before it became severe. A lot of times people with RVs, they only use them twice a year, maybe 2 to 3, 4, 5 times a year. And it's sitting in storage. It gets essentially abandoned for months and months and months. And when you finally get out to it, you notice there's a problem. You notice something may have failed. And oftentimes those failures occur because of a number of different reasons. Sometimes it's because it was built incorrectly. That's always a factor. Sometimes it's because a component failed. Sometimes it's because it's just normal wear and tear. But sometimes it's simply because of the environment, the climate, the fact that you're leaving a home with wood, lots of wood, sometimes lots of carpet, a lot of residential stuff in an uncontrolled, untemperature controlled, in a scenario where you're not visiting it, you're not really taking a lot of care of it, you're just expecting it to last and last and last. Condensation inside of your RV, high humidity, is a major killer of RVs because of all the wood and all the other components that can be affected by droplets resting in place inside of your RV and not being taken care of. And what do I mean by taking care of it? If it means figuring out a way to dehumidify the interior of your RV, even if you're in an unpowered storage situation, you should consider it. Whether you're getting a battery pack, like one of those big portable battery packs with a solar charger on it, whether you add some solar to your RV, something in order to be able to power some type of dehumidification. Damprid does help, but it is not the end-all be-all. It is not going to fix all the problems, and in most cases, it's not going to pull enough humidity out of the air to prevent things from getting damaged. I'm just telling you the truth. In a small enclosed environment like a bathroom or a closet, it works pretty well. But when you're talking about most RVs, most sizes of RVs that people are trying to put it in, it's going to have some effect, but it's not going to be the effect you're thinking. You really need some form of active dehumidification, and that will make all the difference in the world. I'm going to tell you that our Coachman Chaparral that we used to have, when we had it in unpowered storage, we had all sorts of humidity related issues. We had a case of Cokes that were in there somehow burst. We had, what did we have? We had mold and mildew. I think I actually did a video on it where we walked in and there was like this white powdery material all over the place. And it's just like, what the heck is going on? Whenever we cleaned all that up and we moved it to a powered spot, and we were able to run the AC and a small dehumidifier in there, and we kept the AC at like 85 degrees. We didn't keep it super low, but we had a small dehumidifier in there, which I've featured multiple times on the channel. All of a sudden, none of that happened anymore. We had no more problems with any of the wood warping, with trim coming out because the wood was starting to warp a little bit and it was pulling fasteners out. We didn't have any more problems with any of that mildew forming around cabinets or around edges. Nothing like that happened anymore when we were able to get some power to the RV and we could actively control the interior environment. Right now, it is stupid humid outside. And this humidity level is absolutely going to affect the interior of your RV if you aren't trying to control it somehow, if you don't have some means of managing it. In my opinion, it might just be worth going out buying a 400 watt or a 300 watt or a 200 watt Jackery or whatever power station you've been seeing advertisements for, or when you go through Sam's Club, they now carry a bunch of them. Spend the money on something like that. Get a small solar panel to be able to recharge it and run a dehumidifier inside of your RV. It may take a little bit of work and effort to get solar going to it so you have wires going in, but if you can actively control the environment inside of your RV, you will find out that your RV will be so much nicer whenever you come out to it. You're going to have such fewer problems. You're not going to have all the big issues that people typically complain about when you go to a used car or used RV dealership and people are saying, look how rotted out the floor is, look how rotted out this is. A lot of that stuff, a lot of it is due to an uncontrolled temperature inside of the RV causing humidity and moisture issues that's permeating into the floor, into the walls, into the cabinetry, into the roof, into the electrical systems, into all of that. You're never going to seal up something like this to the point to where you can completely keep that out. And secondly, you wouldn't want to, because at that point you're not cycling air the way you need to. Everything needs to breathe to some degree. Homes need to breathe, vehicles need to breathe, RVs need to breathe. You don't want them airtight because that can create a really dangerous situation, even in terms of carbon dioxide. So you want to know that the inside of your RV is somehow being taken care of, even if you're not there to take care of it. And a cheap dehumidifier, maybe a couple of them, a battery supply that you can go out and maybe charge every now and then, something to manage the interior temperature, the interior humidity more than anything. It's really the humidity more than anything, but something that can help manage that. If you can regulate the temperature a little bit, that's also going to play a big part. And at the end of the day, your RV is going to last longer. You're going to see less material failure, and you're just going to be able to enjoy it more. You're not going to have as many complaints. It's going to last longer. And I'm telling you the truth, and I believe anybody who has been RVing for a long time could drop a comment below and agree with this statement. I just think this is probably one of the most important things to think about when it comes to owning an RV, especially when it is stupid humid outside and these crazy temperature fluctuations that we have really impact the interior of your RV more than you think. Anyways, guys, I'll put a link in the description of this video to some items that might be able to help, some things that we use. Like, we have small dehumidifiers in both units. Yes, we have the luxury of having power, but we also have solar with a battery bank that gives us some flexibility to still do this, even if we didn't have power connected to it all the time. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.